address campaign management scalability using the Marin application. Some of the features that we'll be going over today are URL Builder, some bulk sheet best practices, scheduled actions, creative exemptions, and a few other features that will help in the day-to-day management of your accounts within Marin. This will be a recorded webinar, so if there are members of the webinar that need to leave at any time, a recording will be sent out after the webinar has concluded, so please keep that in mind. If you do require a recording, they will be sent to registrants in a day or so. Questions can be asked throughout the webinar using the questions chat box within the application. Questions will be held till the end, and time permitting, we'll go through a few of them at the end of the webinar. Great, and we'll get started right here. First, we will go over a great feature within Marin called URL Builder, and this is something that you may have seen when you were setting up the Marin accounts initially. This feature is great for saving time when creating new objects, since there will be no need to manually append multiple different tracking parameters to your keywords. And it also is able to automatically detect URLs that are missing those parameters and correct them for you should you enable this feature. In order to see how to set up URL Builder and how to set the autocorrect features, we'll be going over to the admin section of the application. And from this admin section, we'll be going to the sub-tab called Revenue. Under Revenue, you'll see another link that will take you to URL Builder. This page will show you the settings that you have for your URL Builder. Whatever is on this page is what will be used to go ahead and append those parameters to the keyword destination URLs on your keywords and your creatives. So there are a few options here on this page that I'd like to point out. One is the concept of this default base URL. This is an optional setting within URL Builder. If you know that all of your keywords are going to a single page and will be doing so going forward, you may want to consider setting this up so that you don't actually have to tell the application what page to use. Now, this is an optional feature that should only be set up if you are using one static page, but it does reduce one extra step within your management of your campaigns, should that be an option for you. To go further into the settings here, you'll notice that there are a couple of things right off the bat. There is a use the same settings for all publishers checkbox. Right now, this demo account is checked in to use the same parameters for all of your publishers. Now, if you did want to go ahead and update the parameters per publisher, so different parameters for Google, for Bing, for Facebook, that's also an option. All you would have to do is unclick this button, and you'll see that all publishers has now switched over to each of the publishers that have been linked into this Marin account. Now, this will, if you don't have Baidu or Yahoo Japan linked in, those won't be options you need to worry about, but once you do, those are all available as well. So you'll see here that there are a couple of things to keep in note. Two things here. You can do not build keyword level URLs or build keyword level URLs. Many advertisers do build their keyword level URLs, But if you are doing creative level tracking, say in Google, you are just utilizing the creatives to send your users to your page, then you can click the Do Not Build keyword levels and just create them on your creatives. So the next box right below is the required parameters. This account is set up to use Marin Tracker here, but this can be configured to a number of tracking solutions that you may be using. Very common ones are, of course, our Marin Tracker solution. Some people do have additional parameters for Google Analytics, things like that. So this is definitely something that's very customizable. And if it's something that you would like to update, definitely reach out to your account reps to talk through the changes that you would like to make. But for the most part, it's wholly customizable to your account. There are two different URL builder settings here. One is this required parameter, which is the parameters that will be added after your landing page. So if your landing page is powpowsports.com in this case, all of these parameters here will be added on after the .com. If you are an account that would like to use a redirect, there are a couple of different solutions that are, use redirects as their tracking parameters. Marin also offers a redirect solution as well for those people who are unable to implement a pixel on all of their landing pages. So if you were to use a redirect, there is an option here to click in to build redirects. When that is enabled, you'll be able to add those redirects, and that will be put in place before your landing page. So again, if your landing page was powpowsports.com, all of the parameters within the redirect box will be added before the HTTP www. So those are the two different settings here. It is possible to use both in conjunction with each other. So if that is a requirement of yours, again, I would suggest talking it through with your Marin representatives, but it is possible to have both a redirect and a required parameter field filled in. And again, the reasons why you would use this feature to set it up and keep it updated is that if you do have Marin Tracker and Google Analytics or Core Metrics or anything that requires multiple parameters, having them here will make it so that you don't have to append them every time you create your URLs. So it does offer a lot of time savings, and it only needs to be set once and updated whenever you need those parameters changed. To get into a bit more detail about these parameters, you'll notice that all of the parameters on this page, the mquid equals, the pquid equals, which are our keyword and our creative ID parameters for Marin Tracker, that there are values after the equal sign that are in the brackets. These are actually dynamic parameters, placeholders, if you will, that will dynamically fill out as the keywords are served or created. So if you were to create a keyword within Marin using these parameters, Marin would go ahead and give it that unique ID. The distribution, you can actually see what that parameter will look like. For Google, when the keyword is created, the URL will say mquid equals, and then the value track parameters, if search, if content, will be filled in accordingly. So those parameters that are in the URL builder box correlate to these blue boxes here that show you what the dynamic parameter is that will be filled in. So the creative ID, again, will be filled in the match types. Again, all of those will be filled in with these parameter insertions. So when you do go to your Keywords tab and you look at the URLs, they'll look slightly different from what's in the actual URL builder, all of the bracketed will be replaced with the corresponding parameters that are in this box. Okay. And the one thing to point out here on the multiple publishers is for Facebook, if you are using Marin, there are a couple of things to keep in Marin Tracker, a couple of things to keep in mind. With Facebook, you'll only need the MQuid value. So it's one of those things where, it's a bit different than the search side with the creative IDs and the match types and whatnot. So it'll actually be a much cleaner setup for Facebook. And again, for your specific account and setup, you can definitely reach out to your online marketing managers and ask, what the proper setup should be. I mentioned a little bit earlier that we do have an option to autocorrect URLs. A couple of caveats here. If you are using redirects, the autocorrect feature is not available as in the required parameters. So a couple of things to just keep in mind depending on your exact setup. But for the options of our URL autocorrect, we have a couple of radio buttons. Off obviously means that you're not using the autocorrect. We do also have an on option and a only warn for problems and issue options. With on, what the application will do is it will check the URLs, and if there are missing parameters, it will go ahead and add them and then post the changes to the publishers. If you do use only warn for problems and issues, the application will still check for the parameters. What it will do instead of posting the changes to the publisher is to create a file that will be housed in your activity log so that you can go and manually check them. Then you will have to go ahead and re-upload those changes into the application and then post. So it does add a couple of extra steps, but the warn only is a good option if you do want to double check all of the potential issues that the application has found. Right below the autocorrect options are two more checkboxes for creatives and placements. These options are, again, optional. For the most part, most people will have these checked off just as a fail-safe, especially for the creatives, just in case you don't have destination URLs set on your keyword or for some reason they get erased, when you're editing. It's always just a good idea to have that creative box there so that on your creatives you also have those parameters. Now, if your creative tracking parameters includes keyword and match type, Marin will still be able to attribute down to the keyword level even if the keyword has no tracking parameters. If you don't have keyword and match type, then we'll be able to attribute to the creative and to the ad group, but not to the keyword level. So slight nuances there to keep in mind depending on your personal setup. In terms of how to activate or how to have your keywords be appended with what you have set up in the URL builder, when you do create new keywords, as long as this is all set up and activated, it will be automatic. If there are keywords that at some point they were created in the past and they were paused, or you're reactivating certain things and you notice that there are no tracking parameters, you can just go ahead and download those keywords from Marin, re-upload it with that destination URL, and that will trigger the URL builder as well. So again, it'll be triggered automatically for any keywords that you're newly creating. And if you notice any keywords that need to be updated, or say you go and tomorrow change your URL builder to add a few extra parameters and want to update all of your URLs, all you'd have to do is re-upload the keywords or your creatives, whatever you're trying to append, and that will trigger URL builder as well. Great. So those are the basic functionalities of the URL builder. Again, many of you may have this already set up, but for those of you who don't, or those of you who have parameters that you are still manually appending even after using URL builder, it might be something to just look into and discuss with your account team and see if that's something that you can go ahead and update. It is a huge time savings, and the one thing is once it's set up, it's very easy to forget that it's there. So if there are any updates that you want to make to it, it is worth checking to see what's actually in your URL builder. So again, this is in the admin section under the revenue subtab, and then the URL builder link. The next topic of discussion for this webinar will be bulk upload best practices. Again, this is something that we will go over. I'll give you a couple of examples on how to best use Marin to make any additions or updates to your accounts. We're going to be mostly operating within the Keywords tab here. But a lot of the features and workflows that I'll be going through in the Keyword tab is transferable to the group and campaign, creatives, all other tabs. So definitely a transferable feature here. The great thing about doing bulk uploads within Marin to either create or edit is that many things can be done across publishers all at once. So if you are now going to AdWords and then going over to Bing and then doing the same things, you can actually do a lot of those changes and updates within Marin in one shot. You can add, edit, and delete as well in one upload. So if there are multiple actions that you're trying to take, that's definitely something that you can do. The column order actually does not matter within the bulk upload sheet we'll be putting together. So as long as you have the necessary columns, you don't have to worry about the order. And the one great thing is that if you do create new keywords that are going to be housed in a brand new group and a brand new campaign, you can upload everything through the Keywords tab, because Marin has a parent item creation concept where if you upload a new keyword, group, and campaign in the Keywords tab, it will go ahead and create that group and campaign for you. So there's no need to create the campaign, then the group, and then the keyword. You could actually do it all in one shot through the Keywords tab. A couple of things, and we'll just go through a quick example here. A great way to go ahead and edit a few things within Marin in bulk is to take the grid that we're actually in and then filter for the things that you're looking for. So say we wanted to make some changes within a certain campaign. So I'll go ahead and add a filter here. If you have a specific campaign that you want, you can definitely do equals. If there are a group of campaigns, you can definitely do contains or any of these other filter options. So we'll do within this account the outdoor campaign, and then say that you did have a specific group that you also wanted to go into, and again, same thing here. You can do something like contains, and that can be as specific or broad as you would like. And then through these keywords, there might be another specific subset. So I'm going to go in here and say, I only want to see keywords that contain Puma. So by doing that, you've now just honed in on a subset of your keywords that you can easily make changes on. So you can do this manually, or perhaps you already have certain filters that you have saved. So if this is something that you would like to see over and over again, the same subset of filters, you could definitely set those up as a saved view. All you have to do is set the filters up and then go to saved view and add those in. So if there is an analysis that you always do for keyword changes, go ahead and set it up as a saved view, and you can use it over and over again. So once you have this grid set up, a couple of things you can do here. You can go ahead and update within the grid, where you will just update things one at a time. But again, it's not very scalable to do that. So what we'll be doing is going ahead and creating a report here. And what I'm doing is saying that I would like to download all of these keywords. And you can name your file anything you'd like. But for the sake of simplicity, we'll just say these are the Puma outdoor keywords, and I want to download these. This way, you can go ahead and just make those changes in the download that you create and then re-upload straight into Marin. I've actually set this grid up to only have things that I'm interested in changing. So I have the keyword, the publisher, account, campaign, group, the match type so that the application knows which exact keyword you want to change, and the search bid. So I'm just going to go ahead and en masse change search bids is my goal here. A few things when you are downloading through Marin to keep in mind. This include items with 0 clicks button does become a bit important. By design, Marin will not include anything in a report that has had no clicks. Now, the reason why we do that is for speed's sake, and that if there is no spend, it might not be something that you want to hone in on initially. So if you do know that this report may include certain things like terms that have impressions but no clicks, or you just want to see everything, go ahead and click that off to include items with 0 clicks. The 0 clicks option is based on the calendar time frame you have set up. So if you have a very large time frame set up, it's going to include more keywords, and then a little bit less if you have that shortened, depending on what your account activity was like in that time frame. Great, and we'll go ahead and continue. After we press continue, what this does is creates a report within your report section that you can either access through the report link at the top, or you can go ahead and just click this green link, and it'll send you to the reports that you've just created. Now, my report has already finished, and what we'll do here is download the report and then open it up within Excel. Okay. Now that it's opened up in Excel, you'll notice that there are a few things here that we can get rid of once we re-upload these. You're going to see the report name, the client it was pulled in from, the scope, date range, and any filters you've set up. Say that we do want to switch all of these bids to $1. You can go ahead and set that up here. So we've updated all of the search bids to $1. We'll go ahead, get rid of all of the report details as you no longer need them to re-upload this within Marin. And now you'll notice that all of this, all of these columns are keyword specific to updating a search bid. So depending on what you were trying to do, setting up the grid beforehand during your analysis can help make the change a bit quicker. So, perhaps you had impressions and clicks and conversions also in the grid. It will show up in the download, but you can then just delete those columns pretty easily. So always include those fields that you think you'll be adjusting, and the download you've created will be much more friendly for the bulk upload we'll do in just a second. A couple of things to keep in note when setting up these bulk sheets is that metric columns, again, cannot be included. So again, as I mentioned, if you do have impressions, clicks, things like that, when you download, just go ahead and delete those columns and you'll be all set. One thing that I do want to point out is if there is a header in this file that you'll upload with blanks, Marin is actually going to read that and clear out that value. So a good example would be destination URL. If you were updating some of your creatives or your keywords and you had that destination URL field in this upload, if you had the URLs in there, it's not a problem. But if for some reason you had empty cells or you cleared them out during your editing and you re-uploaded, just be aware that Marin will see that as a blank field and clear out whatever destination URL is within the application. Now, this is by design due to the fact that there are many instances on the publisher side. For example, on Google, you may only have creative level URLs and not keyword, and you want to clear out your keyword URLs. There are use cases, so Marin does mirror that. So it's just one of those things to keep in mind. If there are any columns in an upload that you don't expect to be updating, go ahead and get rid of it just to be safe before you save your file. And we'll go ahead and, all you have to do is save this file as either a comma delimited file, or if you do have certain special characters, such as trademark signs, register signs, if you have a multinational account and you have double byte characters, Chinese character, Japanese characters, things like that, we do suggest that you save as a text file in order to prevent some formatting issues that can happen within Excel. If there are formatting issues that happen in Excel and it gets uploaded to Marin, Marin will just read that as is. So to be safe, if you know that there are any sort of special characters, just go ahead and save this as a text file. Great. So once that's all done, the way to re-upload that, and I have the exact file actually saved already, so we'll go ahead and go back to the Keywords tab here. The way to re-upload the changes that you've just made within that file is to go to the Bulk Add Edit Keywords on the bottom left-hand side. Now, again, as I mentioned before, this can be done across publishers, so the file can contain things for Bing, for Google, all in one, additions, deletions, all of that. So go ahead and consolidate things that make sense to you. Some people like to keep different edits separate just so that their paper trail is clean and makes sense. But again, that's completely up to you. Two options here when bulk uploading your additions or changes. You can do a paste within this box here, and you'll notice that all of the required and optional column headers are available. So if you're not familiar with the column headers, if you copy and paste this into Excel, that's a great way to set up a template for yourself on what column headers are needed for Marin uploads. So they'll all be here. The header with no brackets, so in this case, account, campaign, group, and keyword are minimum requirements. So those must be in your bulk upload. Match type, status, search bid, all of that with the square brackets are optional. I do suggest, however, you keep match type. As with the publishers, if you do not specify a match type, Marin will assume that you either want to create or edit your broad match type. So again, always keep that match type in there, unless, of course, you are just creating broad or updating your broad keywords. You will also notice that if you scroll all the way to the right, the reason why there are so many available headers is that any dimensions that are set up, and dimensions will be covered in a future webinar, will show up within your uploads as well. So you can update those in mass as well. So option 1 is to go ahead and copy and paste into this box. The suggested row limit is 1,000. If you're a little bit over that, it's not going to fail you out or anything like that. It's just so that if you are making mass changes, just to keep in mind that it's a bit cleaner and easier to troubleshoot should you have any issues to have a bulk sheet. So again, if you're doing a very large-scale change, I would go ahead and do exactly what we did, where we have an Excel sheet that we update. So 2 options here. Once you decide whether you're going to paste or upload a file, is to upload changes in a to be sent status or a held status. So we'll go ahead and choose our file. Here. Great. And this is saved as a text file, so it'll say .txt. And then we'll either say upload in to be sent or in held. The differences between these two are that for to be sent jobs, when the nightly sync runs at 8 p.m. account time, so your Marin account time, which usually correlates to the westernmost publisher account you have logged linked into Marin. So if your Google account is set to Eastern and your Bing is set to Pacific, the Marin account will be in Pacific. If you have Facebook linked in, it will be to Pacific, since Facebook accounts default to the Pacific time zone within the U.S. So to the to be sent option will go ahead and send all of the changes you've made nightly at the nightly sync, and then the held status option will upload everything in Marin, but it will just make the changes in Marin and not send it to the publishers until you manually click Post Now. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up so that it's on a held status and hit the Next button. There's going to be a preview page that happens afterwards. These are just edits, so it does say edit keyword 23. If I had added a new keyword within the Excel file, it will also say additions and then list the number of keywords being added. So you will get an option to preview. If you do a very large file, a couple of thousand, it will ask you if you want to skip the preview page just for speed's sake. And we'll go ahead and process this. And what will happen is you'll see a green link above that will send you straight to the activity log, or you can just hit the admin link on the upper right as well. So going ahead to the activity file here, what will happen once you go ahead and process everything is it will show up within the link here. There's also sometimes a taskbar. So right now it's processing my uploads, and a taskbar will show up and saying that this is the process that's happening. So once that's complete, within the activity log, you'll notice there's a lot of jobs here with the status. And then here it'll either say to be sent, canceled, succeeded, or held. Anything that is to be sent, again, will be sent automatically. Anything that's held, and again, you can actually filter for those here as well. So say you wanted to find things that are held, you can go ahead and apply that. And if you did want to send these out now, you would click the radio buttons here or super select and hit post now. If for some reason you decided that the actions that you took are no longer necessary, so maybe you accidentally made a mistake or you updated something and then an hour later there was another change that you had to make to the same keywords and you wanted to roll things back, anything like that, as long as it has not been sent to the publisher, so if it says to be sent or held, you can actually roll the changes back by selecting the appropriate activity and then hitting cancel. So anything that says held or to be sent can be rolled back. So until it says, succeeded or queued, it's all within Marin. Again, if there are things that are in your activity log that you want to send right away and you don't want to wait for that sync, go ahead and select it and press this post now, and it'll send it straight to the publishers. So the next thing here, if there are certain things that you want to change quickly within the grid, as I mentioned, you can do single edits, but there's also the ability to do multi-edits within the application. There are a couple of use cases for this. One, you can do updates on your bids or your URLs, anything like that. But you can also use them for certain things like ad scheduling and scheduled actions. So we'll go through a couple of multi-edits and then move on to some of the features that you can use in conjunction with multi-editing. So again, you can create, pause, resume, do any bid changes with a multi-edit. You can actually just select each single keyword, creative, or a group that you want to adjust, or you can go ahead and super select the entire row as well. If you are planning on making very large multi-edits, again, the bulk is great because it'll leave you a very clean paper trail in case you need to reference it again. If you do a multi-edit, it'll be in the activity log, but you won't have the file you started with. It'll just be the file with the changes. So if you do want that paper trail, again, use the bulk. But if you do want to do, say, 1,000 changes with multi-edit, it might be a good idea to do a couple of edits at a time so that it's easier for you to read what's going on in the activity log once you've processed these changes. A couple of things here. You can go ahead and, again, select, super select, and then let's go ahead and use ad scheduling as a example, as our next example. But just to show you what's available here, if you wanted to make a multi-edit on the keyword level, again, I've super selected everything, so a couple of options. I like to just do all the keywords on this page because I've seen it, I know exactly what's being changed, and I feel comfortable with that. You can change the number of rows that show here by adjusting the rows on the top right. So if you wanted to see many, many more rows just to look through it, you can do that as well. So we'll go ahead and just go through quickly. There are a lot of options that can be done. You can do your destination URLs, your search bids, and then you can also tag any of your dimensions that you set up. So those are your keyword options. We'll go to the campaign side so that you can see what a couple more of the options for a multi-edit can be. So for example, on ad scheduling, say that on the campaign level for Google, there's a couple of dates or times that you want to either boost your search bids on or go ahead and reduce them. I've just selected a few Google campaigns here, and if you go to the Edit button, you'll see that there is an option to do ad scheduling. And just like within the AdWords application, you'll be able to edit these either by date or time, and then you have the option to copy all the way down. This Show Recommendations button is available if you're using Marin Tracker, and it uses the conversion data that's being collected to show you recommendations. So just a quick example of a use for multi-edit is ad scheduling, and then for Bing, you can definitely do the same thing on the group side. So those two are available. For Google, you can go ahead and go up and down. For the Bing side on the groups, it'll be a addition to. So if we went to the groups, to the multi-edit, and then ad scheduling, that'll show up as well. So the options are there, and you can even set these one at a time if you wanted to for ad scheduling by going to a campaign and then the settings page. And there are a couple of advanced features down here, and ad scheduling is one of them. So if you clicked into that, you could actually set it from here as a single edit as well. As we're in the settings page, a couple of features in here also. There are the ad scheduling features that are available through the publisher, and those settings can be set within Marin, as you just saw. But Marin also has this concept of scheduled actions. You can set campaigns or creatives, things like that, to either resume or pause at a certain date. So this is really useful for any sort of sales that you're doing or limited run campaigns that you want to go ahead and schedule. This is all based on the time zone of your Marin account. So again, that's one thing to keep in mind. But you can go ahead and set a lot of granular scheduled actions for promotions on the campaigns and creative levels, so that it's a pretty good tool if you do know you have a lot of necessities for that. And that can also be done on a settings page one by one if you would like. And then you can also get those, the schedule actions that you've scheduled can also be brought in within the grid as well, so you can see what the next scheduled action is. So that'll be available to bring in. Sorry about that. So under the advanced section of View Builder, you'll notice that there's a scheduled action column available. So you could go ahead and bring that in. And once that's done, it'll be on your grid. These don't have an action schedule, but once that is, this column will populate. So it's a very good way to kind of keep track of what scheduled actions you may have set within your application. So those are two different ways that you could use the multi-edit function in addition to the pauses and the edits and the changes that you might make. So the ad scheduling publisher features that are also available within Marin to edit, and then the scheduled actions, which are great for campaigns, groups, and creatives in case you have promotions or a start and end date to your campaign. The last feature we'll go over, and then I'll address any questions that may come up, is creative exemption. Now, creative exemptions for Google, especially if you're running any pharmacy or anything that has a lot of trademarks, can become a bit daunting. So there are a couple of ways to help your campaign management and your management of creatives exemptions within Marin. You can definitely go ahead and single edit. We'll go ahead and just go back to the keywords, and I'm going to choose this keyword, and then say that we want to, going to creatives. And then we'll go ahead and say, let's go, you can do it on the keyword and the creatives, but we'll just use creatives for now. Creative exemption, and then go, if you already know the policy name and violating text, you can definitely just throw it in here. The other thing that you can do is oftentimes when Google or rejects the creatives or your keywords, we'll actually have that error file within the activity log. Again, by going to admin, you'll be sent to the activity log, and you can just download that. And what happens is that our file will also show you Google's errors. So it's going to show you what exactly was the issue. So a couple of things, you can go ahead and edit it one by one, or you can super select, some of your disapproved. Again, you can go ahead and filter from the flag here, and then go, see what needs to be edited. If anything, the great way to check for anything that's disapproved is to use the status column. There'll be a disapproved option, and by filtering for that, you'll see the creatives that have been disapproved. If there are any disapproved ads, there will be and there is an actual error file. So these are image ads, so there's it's not the same way that the search side will work. But if there was a error file associated with the disapproved text, a red triangle will show up. And by clicking that, it'll send you straight to the log of those errors. So very easy to find out what you were disapproved for, whether it be a text violation or anything else. So again, you can do this one by one, or Marin has actually been updated to let you do bulk uploads as well of a change. So just to show you an example of what some of the violating text may look like and how to set up a bulk upload. Again, this goes back to the concept of bulk upload and being able to do many things in one shot. Just to quickly go over, the top line here is an example of what the Google error in that file that you'll find in the activity log looks like. So it'll say Google error, and then what the policy was, and also what the text was. And then the two examples below show you how to set up the bulk upload sheet to go ahead and update the exemptions. So you'll need the account, campaign group, and creative ID. This is an ID that you can find by downloading your creatives, and there will be a creative ID field when you create that report, just like we did for the keywords earlier. And then you'll have the policy name and violating text. You can comma separate multiple policy names and violating texts. Just make sure that they line up. So in this first example, we go pharma, prescription drug terms, and then drug paraphernalia. The violating text corresponds, so meds goes to pharma, tablet goes to prescription drug terms, and then speed goes to drugs paraphernalia. So just make sure that lines up and you'll be fine. And then you just upload this through either the Creatives tab or the Keywords tab, just like we did for our bulk edits. And that will create a new job to push out to the publisher, just like a creative edit, and then post it, and that'll send the exemptions to the publisher, and that should be taken care of. if you do know that you're an account that hits these often, you can even preemptively have these within your upload. So just add that policy name and violating text, and that might save you some time as well. Again, depends on your account, but that could be a way to save some time on your end. So those are, the topics that were being covered today. Again, just a quick recap. We went over URL Builder, bulk upload best practices, some use cases for the multi-edit functions, such as ad scheduling, scheduled actions, and then creative exemptions and how to do that in bulk. So again, there are articles for each of these topics within the help section that can be accessed through the top right-hand side of the application. A lot of good material in there, and you can always reach out to your account team with follow-ups that are specific to your account as well. So if there are any questions, please go ahead and type those into the questions box now. We do have a couple of minutes to go over them. So there does seem to be a question here on column headers for the bulk uploads, and whether the column order matters. The column order does not matter. You can have them in any order that you want. And whether to have the brackets or not, it will read without the brackets. But you can also, just copy and paste the column headers that you found when you go to the Ad Creative within any of your tabs. So you can go ahead and just copy that over. But again, if for some reason you don't have those, that's fine as well. It'll actually read the header. And as a follow-up to that, again, yes, the headers will be read, the fields within the headers will be read as blank. A great example for that is for the description line. Great. And another topic here to go over is for creative exemptions. If there is violating text, how to correlate that with your actual creative or your keyword, as in the example. Okay, so one of the things to keep in mind is that those texts that you put into the exemptions should show up just like the error within the file, or if you're going to preemptively assign those, make sure that the actual violating text looks just like what your creative or your keyword looks like, so format it the same, and you should be fine. Great. I hope that this webinar was helpful. There are a lot of, the base usages of the application that we went over, but hopefully there were a couple of things in there that will help speed up your campaign management within the application. If there are any follow-up questions or use case examples specific to your account, go ahead and either file those tickets through the help section or follow up with your account team, and they'll be able to help you as well. There will be a recording of this webinar being sent out through through email. It'll hit your inboxes within a day or two, so please be out on the lookout for that. And our next webinar will be our enhanced features webinar next Thursday. That will go over any updates to the application that was made through our scheduled release that is coming up this weekend. So if you haven't signed up for that just yet, or if you need the link, please reach out, and that can be arranged as well. So please be out on the lookout for that. And once again, refer to the help page or your account team, and we'll be able to follow up with more specific questions as well. Thank you very much for attending, and have a great day.